cybersecurity is not as difficult as we try to make it out to be. It's great to get entry-level people into cybersecurity. I think that's probably what I'm known for, is trying to get more people into our industry. We need more people training the new people coming in.
Welcome and thanks for joining us for All Things Cybersecurity. I'm going to be your moderator for this discussion, Sophie Goodwin, and sitting here to my right is Mr. Daniel Lowrie. Daniel, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing phenomenally. Thank you very much, Sophia. We're going to have a good time today because we're here at All Things Cybersecurity, where we take the questions from you, the viewer, and we do our level best to answer those things. And of course, we're going to have a good time doing that. So I can't wait to see what kind of questions you guys come up with for us today.
Yeah, feels like it's been a while since we've done one of these.
I know, it does.
It's been so
I
long,
forgot
Daniel.
we even did
I
this.
just feel like I don't even know you anymore.
Yeah. You've grown so much.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. And we have a special guest here with us today. I actually was able to interview her a couple of months ago and got to learn a lot more about her. Her name is Naomi Buckwalter. She is the founder of Cybersecurity Gatebreakers Foundation, and she's here on the wall behind me. Naomi, how are you?
What's up, guys? It's good to see you. Holy smokes. I'm really glad I'm here. I could see myself. I'm also glad I'm not wearing the same clothes as last time. Oh,
That would have been
I don't know why I just said that.
This is you can tell this is a very fancy establishment.
Yeah.
It's a black tie event.
We found some indigent
Yeah.
roaming around in
Just
the
found
parking
me
lot.
outside, yeah.
Hey.
I'm just here. I'm the help. I'm just here to help. So we're going to be getting to some questions here in just a second. I don't know that I'll have a ton as far as like answers, but I may actually have some questions myself because I'm still kind of learning a lot about cybersecurity and trying to kind of get into that industry, dipping my toe in, if you will. So I may throw in a question or two of my own if I'm feeling fancy.
But you are going to be feeding us the questions, right? This is your main role here, is to help be that intermediary between you and us today.
Some might call that a moderator.
A facilitator.
Some might use that word, yeah.
I like to use anything other than what you just said.
Okay, absolutely. But
because it's fun.
Yeah, he just likes to give me a hard time. But before we jump into these questions, real quick, Naomi, you had mentioned before we started, some of the things that you're passionate about are getting people into the field or kind of helping them understand what it takes to get into the field. I want to give you a second to kind of talk a little bit more about that and kind of what it is that you're passionate about.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Actually, I do want to clarify that while I love people trying to get in to cybersecurity because we definitely need more of you guys, awesome people. What my real passion is convincing the hiring managers and the security leaders to actually hire good people like you. So if you're listening to this and you do happen to be a hiring manager or a security leader with a position open on your team, really consider hiring somebody with less of the experience that you expect that your hire might or need. So you can actually train up that next generation because we do need people at the entry level building up their skills now. So when we all leave a mass exodus of us in about 10 to 15 years, we will have that next generation coming up behind us to fill in our shoes. So I did want to just make a little clarification there. Although you are right, I am passionate about getting new people in, but by talking more about the security leaders, talking to them and convincing them. That is really my passion.
That's a noble cause and an important clarification too. And if you don't mind, would you be okay if I start off with just a question that I have that I'm just kind of curious about? That's okay with you guys?
Do it.
Okay, so one thing that I hear, I'm a recent college graduate, and so it's great.
It sounds like a call. Like, so I'm a recent college
I'm
graduate.
long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah.
But I'm done. I've got the degree, and I get to be done now. But I know a lot of people that have graduated with degrees in things like IT or information systems, things like that.
Underwater basket weaving.
Underwater basket weaving. The whole shebang. They've got a variety, various and sundry degrees that you can get now. But
I feel like you're mocking me.
A little. When am I not, though?
I know.
But one of the things that I'm curious about, I guess, is you've got degrees like that, and then you've got certifications, and then there's just good old-fashioned experience. And I would imagine it's maybe some kind of combination that a lot of people end up with. Maybe they've got a degree, but that by itself is not going to get you there. It's important to get your hands dirty and start working on stuff. Or you've got certifications, but you got to get your hands dirty. So I'm curious, what's the path that you took, Naomi? And then Daniel, I know you probably get this question a lot, but is there a right way to do it, or is there a preferred way to do it to break into that industry?
Yeah, I'll let Naomi answer that, and then I'll give you my take on that.
Okay.
Those are such good questions. I don't even know which one to pick. I will tell you, really, I did take the traditional path. I was a developer. I did a computer engineering undergrad. I have 2 master's degrees. One of them is computer science. So I will say I have that technical background in terms of education. However, I use almost 0% of that in my daily life. So the things that I'm actually using, I've taught myself over the years as a security person, because all that stuff is out there on the interwebs, free of charge. Well, No, not always free, but thank you, Sans. But some of them is free, and you can use some of this material to learn things and build home labs and practice and just learn things. So that is the answer to that kind of question. Now I forget the other question. Remind me. Or Daniel, you can answer the question.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
Daniel.
yeah. Well, just from my experience as well, I tend to see a lot of people. There are generalities that you will see out there. Like, yes, I could maybe go the route of complete CS degree, IT degree, or whatever, full on college courses, university, whatever the case is. And you can go that route and it can be useful. You can also maybe go, I'm going to go with all these certifications. They seem to be the way to get my foot in the door to finally bypass all the lovely gatekeepers out there, because, a lot of resumes get passed on to the next step because they had the right thing on there. And sometimes, a lot of times, that is a certification. But there are those folks that are out there as well. Then you kind of do fit into these three general buckets that just by their bootstraps, they pulled themselves up, they did a bunch of stuff, and they proved their experience through X, Y, and Z ways, and they were able to get jobs. Underneath all that, a lot of times it is some permeation of all three of those things. A lot of times, typically in my experience, I've seen more of the certification self-study route than I do so much the CS degrees. A lot of people who get CS degrees end up becoming developers. That tends to be their kind of stock and trade. They needed to learn that for whatever reason, and they're like, well, I know how to code a bunch of stuff, so I'll just be a coder. And then they will roundabout kind of come back if they start finding cybersecurity very interesting. And now it's like, oh, I want to go learn all the cybersecurity stuff now. And that's where it's so funny to me to see those people with their full stack devs, and they're like, I know nothing about cybersecurity. So it's very interesting that you can find this. Ultimately, it ends up most of the time being a one size fits one solution, that your path isn't necessarily my path and my path isn't your path, and so on and so forth. Although we might have some cross pollination, the best thing you can do is whatever path you choose is you dive into that sucker head first and you go full bore into it. You put it out there that that's what you are doing. You let the people know that could help you in this, that is what you're doing. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to, and they said, Daniel, what do I do? I'm a junior admin at such and such. I said, tell whoever's important that you're into cybersecurity, and that anything that you can do to help them, you want to be a part of it. It doesn't matter if it's getting coffee. It doesn't matter if it's plugging in and going, it's plugged in, because I've literally done that, right? I've literally stood in a wiring closet and went, okay, it's plugged in. The light is blinking, but I was a part of the show, right? And then the more you do that kind of stuff, the more they'll trust you. So just get yourself into that area, start with whatever job, and then just start telling them. And then they've transitioned into cybersecurity because it was, oh, we need someone to do regular security for us. Hey, isn't Bill into security? Yeah, because he always helps us. And he's always like talking about, the Try-Hack Me boom he's doing, or the class he's taking, or whatever. You start making that well known, and people are going to be like, well, you're just the first one to run into my mind, so let me get you on board over here.
Yeah. Get yourself on people's minds and on people's radars.
That's
And
it.
I hear that a lot. It's not, well, I mean, in this case, it would be what you know. You do need to know
Yeah.
this stuff, but like, it's also who you know.
I talked to the people at NetSpy one time, and we were just having a conversation, and I was like, one of the questions I fielded them, I said, hey, if I had this skill, this skill, this skill, and this skill, what would you say? Would I be hireable? And they said, we're really into hiring the right person for our team. We can teach you the skills you need. We can get you trained up, but we don't want to work with people that aren't awesome to work with. And you know what I mean, right? So I know everything, and I'm the smartest person here. So just let me do my thing. No one wants to work with that person. But if you're really cool and you show that you want to learn and you're going to contribute and you're passionate about it, people want to work with people like that. And like they said, we get you trained up. We'll get you the skills you need. You need some basics. Obviously, you can't come in off the street green as can be. But if you got some skills and you're the right person, we will get you working. And networking is a great way to do that.
We can't teach you how to.
Yeah, it's a desire to learn, right? And
Yeah.
by the way, Daniel, I love how your example person is like had a Southern accent.
Oh, that's because I grew up with that person.
That's the default.
I kind of
There
am
you
that
go, there you
person
go.
in a lot of
Can
ways.
I tell you guys a secret though?
Yeah.
As a hiring manager, I will tell you a secret. We literally do not have the most objective process. Everyone knows this. It's all very subjective. However, when it comes to boot camps and certifications and degrees, especially degrees, we do not differentiate between different schools. We just know that you have a degree or a certification or a boot camp, and it literally does nothing to us. We're just like, oh, you did this boot camp? Okay, what does that even mean? Unless we have taken that certification ourselves or gone to that boot camp ourselves or even gone to that school ourselves, we cannot tell you how good that program is, or we cannot tell you what you've learned. So the most important thing, and this comes back to your point, Daniel, is you need to show that self growth, that learning, that passion, that thing that you're doing in your spare time. You're talking about it. You're really, really all about this thing that you're doing in cybersecurity, and you're showing other people that you're learning and you're growing. That's the kind of thing that hiring managers will fall for. They're going to fall in love with you. They're going to be like, oh my God, this person is exactly what we need. The energy, the excitement, the willing to learn, the willing to put in the grunt work, getting the coffees and fixing the wiring closet, all that kind of stuff. Yes, massively helpful. You will land a job in cybersecurity if you have those traits.
Oh, I could not think of a better way to kick off this
Man,
webinar.
we
I'm fired up. I'm
we
ready to
set the
run through
bar
wall.
high, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we started off great.
Yeah, we
so,
kinda did.
but I asked my question, so I'll defer to the questions that we're actually getting now.
Oh,
People that came
Isn't
to
that gracious of
the
you?
what? Sometimes I'm nice. Sometimes I like to be friendly. So we do have a bunch of questions coming in now. We've got one from Brian. He is watching on YouTube. Brian asks, is ChatGPT becoming a security threat? I keep seeing it being vulnerable and responsible for exploits. And that's definitely a hot topic right now, isn't it?
Absolutely it is. I mean, we just saw like a couple of weeks ago, up until a couple of weeks ago, Italy was not allowing ChatGPT in Italy because they were concerned about privacy issues and security issues. And I believe there was a ChatGPT data breach of some ilk. So, I mean, it's software, right? It's going to be just as susceptible to being breached as any other organization, company, just depending on what kind of security mechanisms and things that they put in place to try to keep it safe and secure. And then on the other side of things, as far as responsible for exploits, so this is a funny thing, and I can't wait to hear Naomi's take on this because I'm by no means a professional coder, right? I can fumble around enough to build something and make it do things. And even I know when I ask ChatGPT, can you build this for me? It give me stuff that probably doesn't work a lot of times or is really inefficient, but it's enough to get me going to where I need to be to make it work, right? So that's kind of how I use it. That said, you got to take that into the idea that you still have to know how to do this, right? If ChatGPT is just going to be making all the malware, quick, easy, just shut it off, right? That's the solution. We shut it off. No more malware. Nobody knows how to code anymore. So there you go. So Naomi, as someone who has that skill set, who is a developer who has done that, how do you feel about ChatGPT as a threat, as far as like to those types of people that are doing that work? Is it just going to be the coolest tool in school for those malware devs out there?
Well, I love this question, but I'm going to answer it that will be helpful to someone who's trying to break into cybersecurity. How about that? I'll make that a challenge for myself. So if you are here, who's a listener, by the way, who had that question? What's their name?
Brian.
Brian, I'm talking directly to you. You are asking a good question. However, you have the answer internally, Brian. You asked the question, what do you think of ChatGPT, all these breaches, its vulnerabilities, whatever inside? Okay, Brian, good. You're asking a good question. Can you go one level deeper than this and say what vulnerabilities have been reported out there in the wild, in the news, on private Slack channels, in Twitter, whatever it is, and then do some research on that? Are they true positives? Are those vulnerabilities actually exploitable? Are people, what they're saying on the internet, is it true? Or can you actually try to exploit the same thing? Can you make your own exploit with ChatGPT? Also, you shouldn't be hacking things without permission, but maybe sandbox it and you can go ahead and do it whatever you want. But you are now asking another level of questioning, which a hiring manager needs to see in order to hire you. So if you're asking the question, what can ChatGPT do for us, or what kind of vulnerabilities are out there, you're asking only that surface level question, Brian. You're not asking the right question for yourself. You need to ask why those things are happening. What are some really fundamental things that create major issues for an web application like ChatGPT, right? We know that it's hosted on the internet. There's going to be some vulnerabilities out there. It's probably hosted on a multiple cluster of virtual machines. What kind of things need to be in place for that infrastructure to be secure? You are now asking the correct questions that a hiring manager wants to see from you. And not only that, Brian, you are now creating blogs. You are talking on YouTube about it. You're talking on Twitter about it. You're making it known that you're thinking about these things critically instead of just asking a question, what about ChatGPT? That is such, I'm sorry, Brian, that is such a basic question that anyone can be asking. I want you, Brian, to be asking the next level of question and just say, what can I actually get from this information that I read on the internet? What can I do with this information? And how can I make a company better with this? Hey, company, you're doing AI too. And by the way, there is no such thing as AI. ChatGPT is just statistics on steroids. If you know anything about probabilistic statistics and stuff like that, it is not artificial intelligence. Anyway, so Brian, if you're writing about this stuff and you put your thoughts on paper and you share it with the people who need to know about this and be like, look at all this stuff that I've just thought critically about. And this is how I can help your company. They're going to be like, oh my God, we're hiring a security engineer who's thinking about this stuff already. Let me see if there's somebody out there with these thoughts. And they're going to go out there and they're going to find you, Brian. And they're going to be like, we have a position open. And honestly, guys, this is exactly how I got my first leadership job in cybersecurity. I started writing articles about all the things that I thought was wrong about cybersecurity leadership. Like, honestly, it was just me ranting and venting and stuff like that. But it got the right attention. Somebody offered me a job because of my blog articles. And this is what you can do too. There's nothing stopping you from doing this right now. There's publishing platforms that are free, YouTube, medium.com, all these things that you can do right now, Brian, and you are only holding yourself back if you don't do these things. Am I getting angry at Brian? Is Brian
passionate?
Yeah.
Passionate at Brian. Yeah.
And Brian's crying in the corner right now.
You get a personalized
Brian.
answer for. So there you go, Brian. You got a personalized answer direct from Naomi, and a little bit from Daniel too. We had some input
I
from
did
Daniel.
my best.
You tried your
I
hardest.
so tried.
All right, that's a good way to start the user questions. That one did come from YouTube. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. We also have some people watching on Zoom. So we have a question from Raul. He asks, how do I break into the US job market? I have 8 years of experience working in India, but I never hear back from US based jobs. So this is an interesting question because if you've got experience somewhere else, how do you break into a totally different regional market?
So it's a very interesting question, actually, right? So, I've been asked about this kind of thing from time to time myself about I'm in a different country and I don't seem to be getting any kind of callback or anything from US based countries. And after a little bit of digging, I understand that there are some laws that keep that from occurring. So it can be legal standpoints that can be a kind of a roadblock to you being in a different country and working in the U.S. job market, depending on the industry and depending on the job, so on and so forth. So it just could be there is a conversation stopper as well. But now there's also people that are feigning that they are in the U.S. so that they can get jobs out of the job market. So they will build U.S. profiles. They will hire people that are in the U.S. to do the interviews for them so that once they get the job, they got the job, they get the money and they're happy and so on and so forth. So this is a really interesting question. Naomi, as someone who really does work on that whole, like you say, you're kind of coming from the hiring manager side of thing. As a hiring manager, what is it that stops people in the U.S. from hiring, employees from different areas?
Well, so that's a great question for your HR team. Every company is going to have their own policies on hiring internationally. They just need several things stood up in those countries in order to hire from those countries. So if they do not have like an HR representative, a legal representative, all these things, I don't even know, I'm not an HR person, but they have their legal requirements in order to hire somebody in that country of residence, right? You can't just be like, tomorrow I'm going to hire somebody from somewhere, wherever, and that just doesn't work that way. There are so many other structural things that need to happen first in order for you to even start interviewing in those countries. So if you are looking to work in a specific country for, like, say, a US and a specific company that is headquartered in the US, first you need to check to see if they even have any hires and employees from that country. Because if they don't, I guarantee you, they probably will not make an exception just for you and set up all those structural things HR wise just to hire one single person that in the country that you're in. Right? You get way better chances if you already live in a country that company already hires from. So there you go. So really be targeted in the companies that you're looking for, not just like, hey, I want to work for a US based company. No, you want to go a level deeper than that. Be like, does this US based company already hire from my country? Yes, great. My chances of getting hired at this company are way, way, way higher, right? And even better if you intend to live in that country, in your country of residence, and not say emigrate to the United States, because that visa thing, I don't even know. I know that's like a disaster right now. So
Yeah.
Don't even ask me questions on that. I have no idea.
I would take this opportunity to learn a little coding skills, create yourself a web scraper that finds all the jobs out there that hire from the US out overseas. And then you just get a curated list. That could be worth some money to you there, Raul.
Work smarter, not harder, right?
Ooh, Daniel,
Right?
we got a new SaaS platform.
That's
idea.
it.
No, honestly, just go to LinkedIn, go to the company's website, and just click on the people tab, and then you can see. You can even filter by country, I think, so you can actually see like where their hires are from. South America and Europe and stuff like that. Like if they have a representative there, an HR representative in that country, and the legal representative, all that stuff they have to set up, all the things I don't know about, you can have a better chance of getting hired from that company. Yes.
All right.
Okay. Interesting to know that it's a
good
lot
tips.
of times, more of a logistics thing. It sounds like
Yeah.
they may not hire.
It's a logistics thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely a logistics thing. So again, if you are the first person, you need to make a stronger case for yourself. Say you are the best in the world at this point. If you are the only person in that country who has been looked at by a certain company in the US, you are the best person literally for the job in the world because they are unable to find anyone else, right? That's essentially what they're saying. So you want to be the best. You want to be world class. You want to hold yourself accountable to a higher standard of practice than, say, anybody else that you can find on the internet. You want to be the best.
That way you can stop lying about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. You really have to.
Do you have a number of that? Oh my God, I could tell you so many stories, guys. I once had somebody, US-based person, pay somebody else to do their interview, right? And you probably, Daniel, you're not even surprised. You're like, yeah, this happens all the time. But like, it was so blatant at this point that it was just like laughable.
They didn't even try.
I ended up blocking the person on LinkedIn. Like, it was just so cringy. I was like, what are you doing? Like, you just ruined your chance. That sucked for you. Like,
I believe that the latest episode of the Darknet Diaries is about this very thing. Actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's
I
about
didn't realize
this
that was
developer.
such a common thing that people pay other people to do their interviews for them.
Listen,
oh yeah,
because they
Well,
can't get the
you know what?
work
Mhm.
right without being in a
They're
specific
desperate.
region.
They're desperate.
Right?
Oh,
So
I see.
And then you got all these people nowadays that are doing like, because work from home has become such a thing,
Yeah.
that I can run like 5 jobs and make like $1 million and I don't even do any of the work.
Jeez.
That's the thing too.
Yes,
That's
that is the
They're
thing.
cracking down on that stuff.
They
though.
are. They're really
cracking
working
down
hard on that.
That's why you got return to office. Man, those few people are just ruining it for the rest of us. I'm telling you.
You know what? One bad apple, right? Spoils the whole.
Oh,
One
opening
bad
my
apple.
eyes to them.
Don't be that person.
Yeah.
Don't be that person.
Yeah.
Word gets around. Like our community is so small. You hear names and you're just like, don't ever hire that person. And be like, yeah, actually, I heard about that person. Right? Like so, the word gets around. It does. It really does. Our industry is so freaking small. You have no idea. Like if you have a bad reputation, it's really hard. It's really hard to get around that. Seriously, it's bad.
Yeah, I know.
So don't be that person who pays for certifications. Don't be that person who pays other people to do interviews for you. Word gets around, and I mean, you're gonna have an uphill battle for sure.
Yeah, and I made a joke about lying about being the best, but do not embellish on your resume.
Yeah.
That is a quick way to find yourself in the file
Yeah,
13.
in the
right?
trash pile. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the point of my nonprofit is like, people don't need to lie on their resumes if you're hiring people with no experience. They just don't. Like you hire somebody with no experience on purpose. That way the person getting hired and the hiring manager both know what they're going into. So the hiring manager knows like that person needs some help. Cool. And also the person who's being hired is like, yeah, I don't have to lie about what I don't know because now everyone knows I don't know anything, and that's okay. And that's the whole point. So my whole goal is to transform the hearts and minds of these hiring managers to be like, yeah, it's okay to hire people with no experience. Like I had no experience getting into cybersecurity. What makes me special? Absolutely nothing, right? And like all of us at this level, at the hiring manager level now, we all went through this where we were given opportunities and chances to get into cybersecurity with zero cybersecurity experience. And it makes no sense to me whatsoever why we aren't doing this today. And I'm getting a little
It was kind of fun to watch you devolve into this. It was a lot of fun.
Can tell you care.
Angle it's like
Yeah.
this like which I just get really upset about this because it's like a social justice issue at this point. Like if you are expecting other people to have all this experience when you yourself did not, like what kind of hypocrite are you? You freaking hypocrite. Like that sucks for everybody. And now we have more breaches, we have more people going to the dark side. You know how easy it is to be a malicious actor these days? It's so freaking easy. Like don't even like if you're not going to give people a chance, they need to make money to feed their families. They're going to do something.
Bob from Des Moines says, "Where are these?"
Not that I'm going to use them.
Yeah, asking for a friend.
Just curious.
Yeah.
But that
No,
is
you're absolutely right, though.
It's something that even like coming out of college, it's like every job that I would look at, it was more telecommunication stuff. It was a little bit different, but every job I would look at, it was this is an entry level job, but you need 2 years experience. And I'm like, okay, but in order to get the experience, I have to go work the job. So how do I get, it was like a vicious cycle.
I always
kind of
called it
thing.
the job experience paradox,
Yeah.
right? I need experience to get the
No, that's when
job.
people lie. That's when people
Right.
lie.
So
That's exactly what we're getting right now.
exactly.
We're getting liars who are
Yeah.
applying to these entry level jobs, and it sucks for everyone because the hiring manager assumes these people are truthful because they default to truth. If you ever read the book Talking to Strangers, I think it's Malcolm Gladwell or something, like he talks about this stuff. It's like people assume intent, like good intent, like you're going to tell the truth. But when these people do this, it ruins it for everybody. Like all the people who are actually capable of doing the job, they get like trampled over because the people who are lying on their resume do not lie on your resume. It sucks for everyone. The hiring managers assume that people know what they're talking about. The people here who don't know what they're talking about now have to fake it till they make it, making mistakes along the way, making really dumb mistakes along the way, and putting everything else in jeopardy, right? Opening vulnerabilities, all these things that can hurt the general public because they are lying to themselves. Why am I like this, guys? Why am I like this?
No, but you're right.
Why am I like this? Give me a reason.
It ruins it for everybody else. but
Upbringing.
people do that. Well,
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure this is probably something that we could talk about all day because it is. I mean, it's
Yeah.
an important issue and it's interesting to talk about. We talking about like entry level cybersecurity roles and everything. We do have a question. Oh, let me smack the microphone. We have a question.
You're so
from,
passionate about it.
I'm just so excited. I'm just so happy to be here.
A whirling dervis.
We have another question from a Zoom user. It's from Yusuf, I think is how that's pronounced. It says, if I'm already in an entry-level cyber role, how can I best prepare to move into a new niche and not box myself in? Which I think is a good question. You don't want to like cast yourself into this one specific, if you're looking to maybe branch out a little bit and you don't want to like just focus on this one specific area. But I've also heard that can be a good thing to do. Pick what you really, really like and stick with that.
So yeah, there are definitely a couple of schools of thoughts on this where it's like, if you specialize in something, you become that sniper, right? You become that special forces operator that does one specific thing very, very well, and then they get it done and they move on. And that's kind of what you can get known for in the industry. And you can, make a good career out of that. But you could probably have a lot of ebbs and flows in your workflow, right? Like, oh, I'm not working a lot right now because nobody needs that at this moment in time. So it's nice to be someone who's generalized as well, because then you can do a bunch of different things. Well, that's okay. Well, I can help on the web pen test. Oh, I can go over here and do some vulnerability assessment. I can also do wireless assessments. Having a bunch of different skills is also very useful as well. So it kind of boils down to, at least in my opinion, from my experience, I always say, focus on the one thing you're super passionate about and let that be your specialty. But you also should probably generalize in a lot of different areas as well, just so that you might not be the lead on those roles, but you can assist, you can perform those job duties. Maybe you never know, you're actually pretty adept at it, and you can make that like a second specialty. So that's always been my advice to that.
Okay. I'm curious what Naomi, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I like Daniel's answer. Daniel, do you have a newsletter that I can subscribe to? 'Cause that was quite nice.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Yusuf is unhappy in his role. Am I wrong? He sounds like he's ready for something else. And Yusuf, I have a question for you. What is the common denominator to all your problems? What's the common denominator to all of Yusuf's problems? It's Yusuf, right? Like, I know he didn't want to hear that. He's like, oh my God, I'm turning this off. Naomi, you're a bitch. So sorry, is this PG-13?
It is now.
Listen. It needs you need to hear this, Yusuf. You can't blame anyone else. If you are struggling in your job or you're struggling in life or whatever it is, you need to pick yourself up and freaking figure it out, because no one else is going to do it for you. So if you're in your work and you're like, oh, this work is boring, it's beneath me, be like, okay, well, if you really think that way, maybe you could do something about it. Maybe you can take away that mentality and say, instead of thinking that you're above this thing or that it's too easy for you, what if you found a better way of doing this process? If it's too manual, why can't you automate it? Right? Why aren't you doing that? Or if you think it's too beneath you or everything else is just too easy, why aren't you volunteering for harder projects? Your company has a million initiatives. They're only putting you on those tasks where they think that you can handle. So if you are showing them that you are capable of handling more than what you're given, show them that. You can't just be sitting there waiting for tasks to drop on your lap. That is a sign of somebody who is not ready to move up. But if you are ready to move up, you are asking for those bigger initiatives. You are putting yourself out there and you're saying, here are the things that I'm seeing across the organization that need my help, or that need a little bit of a process tweak, or maybe needs more automation for things. And here's the data to prove it, not just because I feel this way. Here's some data and the research that I've done to help me make this decision and say these things, right? Yusuf, you can do this on your own. You can't just be like sitting back and waiting for these opportunities to happen, because never in the history of mankind, and especially for somebody who is like not a majority demographic, like you are going to have to make these things happen for yourself. I love you, Yusuf. I don't know who you are. Please don't hate me and try to find me in the middle of the night. I'm just trying to like be real with you, like you can do this. And anyone listening is the same way. If you're in life and you're stuck and you feel like, oh my God, why are these bad things happening to me? It's like, bro, like stand up for yourself, like dust yourself off and do something about it. Stop complaining. God, it's annoying. Yeah. This is not a very family friendly show.
Fair enough. Hey, you keep it real.
I will say, like, I do tend to try to find those mundane things in my job and use that as an opportunity to learn something, grow from it, go, okay, I hate filling out these descriptions. I hate, doing all this data entry for episodes and stuff. When we're doing courses, I have to fill out the course description. I got to put objectives and stuff. It can be very monotonous and mundane. And I go, well, you know what? I don't want to do that over and over and over again. Let me script that out. Let me make my life a little bit easier. And then I can share that with my teammates, and then they can make their life a lot easier. And they go, oh, that's awesome. And now
you're hosting TV shows. Look at you.
Look at me.
Look at you.
And then as well, like you got more
Daniel.
skill. You got something you can be proud of. Stick it in GitHub. Tell the whole world about it, and go, look,
boom,
I'm doing
things. You got the
Yeah,
you're doing things. And not only that, like you figured this out. If it doesn't make any sense and the process is completely a waste of time and total BS, you need to tell somebody in leadership and be like, I am wasting X number of hours on this thing. It makes no sense. There's no return on investment to the company. I would propose that we stop doing this thing and replacing it with something better. Boom, right? You've brought us a problem along with a solution, and you've told the right people about it to make a decision based off of the data that you're bringing to them. Why am I like this, guys?
No, it's good. We love it.
you like helping people turn themselves into valuable assets.
Yeah, it's good.
I should just.
There's your tagline.
Transformers.
Guru.
Yeah.
Yeah, helping you become a valuable asset.
Yeah, there you go. That's
You,
new
not
small
to be an
business.
idiot.
So we've got quite a few more questions. I think the more that we discuss this stuff, the more people are asking questions. I think everybody want to get roasted by Naomi.
It's like that's what it is.
That's what this is happening.
This is what it's turned
happening,
into.
guys. I apologize.
So Billy, you're dumb.
No, this is good. This is good. It makes for good discussion too, to get different opinions and stuff on this. So we do
We're dropping out of this call.
I think we have quite a few people watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, and then a lot of people on Zoom, it looks like. So we have another question from Zoom. I know this is like the third one in a row, but we do have a lot of them. This one says, I'm a nurse practitioner that's trying to transition into the field. What transferable skills do you think are important in cybersecurity? I don't know a lot about nurse practitioning, but maybe, and you know more about like cybersecurity and stuff than I do. You both do. So
I'm a licensed nurse practitioner. No,
really,
I'm just kidding.
But anything's possible when you lie.
Yeah, that's right. I've been working in that field for 47 years. How old are you? I'm 43.
Yeah.
I would say that, like kind of like yourself, Naomi probably has not also been a nurse practitioner, but I would say that things like attention to detail, like looking for ways to troubleshoot complex problems, right? That's really all cybersecurity is. You just take really any job that has a certain level of complexity, and those things that you do to fix those things or get around those things or work around those things, the modality of thinking is the same. It's just the tactics that you use are different, right? Because you're using different tools. So I would just say, take that proper mindset, and once you have the toolkit that you need, you'll be able to just apply that. That would be my guess, just because I don't know what nurse practitioners do. I don't think you need an ophthalmoscope.
Well, they're a lot smarter than us, that's for sure.
Yeah. She can use that to
They're
the red
incredible.
team. She's picking locks and
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's like you're playing Fallout.
Totally
or something.
true.
Yeah.
So who's the person who asked that? What's their name?
I think they must have logged in
Yeah,
anonymously.
Zoom
It just
user.
says Zoom user. You can pick a name.
Zoom user. Okay.
They didn't want to get
Blast them.
personally
I don't want to
berated.
blast them, but yeah, No, that's what you're signing up for. Okay, so Zoom user, this is what I will say. Really, really think about this from a hiring perspective. We have so many stereotypes and biases going against somebody like you. It's not even funny. And you can't like I wish in an ideal world there would be no bias and there would be no like problems getting hired. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be easy for you, Zoom user, coming from a nurse practitioner, from a medical field, from that kind of industry into one like cybersecurity. You're going to have to walk through a lot more steps than somebody's coming from like an IT background or somebody from a programming background, right? Because it's not everyday technology stuff. Is it impossible? No, you could still do it, but the biases are going against you. So for one example, what I will say, the thing that immediately came to my mind was like, it seems like you're running away from nurse practitioning and running to whatever sounds good next, right? And I've seen this over and over and over again, nurse practitioner. If you are running away from the job just because you are not liking the stress, I get it. I would do the same thing. However, are you running towards cybersecurity? Are you running away from something or are you running towards something? And if you're saying deep down in my heart, I know I want to be a cybersecurity analyst, good. Bring that energy to the table, bring it to the interviews and bring it to the hiring manager because they're going to figure that out so quick. They're not even going to think that you're a nurse practitioner. That's not even going to enter their mind. They're going to see the passion. They're going to see that energy. They're going to see you working hard on yourself, building the skills and the things that you need to be a great cybersecurity analyst. And they're going to see that and not, oh my gosh, this person just wants to get out of nurse practitioning. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Think about this, nurse practitioner, Zoom user. You need to really think about this critically and be like, why do I want to be in cybersecurity? Why? Am I running away from one thing or am I running to something? And I swear to God, I hope you're running to something and not just running away from something. I'm so glad I don't have their name because I probably just insulted their whole entire family tree. Like they're just not happy with me.
Well,
I apologize.
my takeaway was this above all, to thine own self be true.
Yeah. Way to condense it
So
into
fancy.
Shakespearean.
It sounds like it should be on a blanket or something.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Or in like a fancy novel.
Or
I'm going to take a quilting
Or a
class
mug.
so that I know a blanket for you.
Perfect. Perfect.
Actually, real quick,
Just insulting all your listeners.
it sounds like we actually had a comment. It's not a question. It was just a comment I saw in the YouTube thread from the account is just called Wayne's Real World. So I don't know if that person's name is Wayne. Maybe
I know that guy.
You know that guy?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
Wayne Seavolt, man. He's a good
Is his
dude.
name Wayne?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he said, not a question, but a thank you. While at BHIS webinar with Naomi, she gave me some great advice, and I was hired full-time shortly after. So I just thought I would throw that in there. You know, like you're giving advice here and like trying to help people out, and clearly it pays off. Clearly it does really help. So just wanted to throw that. I know it's not a question, but
I am the
just wanted to throw it
slap in the face that you need. Call me anytime.
The splash of cold water
Wake
while
up
you're
call.
sleeping.
Yeah.
Yes.
She
The
will
hot
tell
wax
you.
on your forehead. Oh, wait.
She will not lie. She will tell you what you need to hear.
I will not lie. No.
But we do now since we're kind of on a roll with the Zoom questions. I'm gonna just stick with that.
Yeah.
We'll get to some
Everybody
questions
jump to
from-
Zoom.
We'll get to some questions from YouTube and LinkedIn as well. But there's a lot of interesting stuff coming in on Zoom. We have one from Ashtar. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. But it says, are there any freelancing opportunities in cybersecurity? Which I think is interesting because you have a lot of people now doing freelance work with anything. It's like a gig economy now.
Oh, yeah.
For voiceover stuff, like anything. So the only thing that I can think of, and I may be totally wrong, but are there people that do pen testing freelance? Like
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm not wrong.
Absolutely.
Whew.
Not just
Okay.
that, but like vulnerability assessments
Yeah.
and audits and like just about every cybersecurity role you can think of, other than something that's meant to be as attached to an organization, like a CISO or a CTO or something to that effect. Those people are usually a part of an organization and not some sort of fly by night that just kind of landed in your lap. But for the other stuff, you want to pen test, I would say most pen testers are freelancers, or they work for an organization that contract on, and that's all they do. So every week is a new pen test, or every 2 weeks is a new pen test for a different organization in a different area, right? So most of the people that I know that do pen testing and red teaming and vulnerability assessments and things of that nature, that's exactly how they work. They work for a pen testing firm, and that firm hires them out as contractors for X, Y, and Z corporations. So if that's what you're looking to get into, of course, there's blue team opportunities as well. But yeah, sky's the limit when it comes to IT in general, really. We love freelancers.
Okay. Are there any, Naomi, I'm curious, are there any other, freelance opportunities in cybersecurity that you know of or that you've come across?
Definitely the pen testing. If you're just kind of getting started out, just check out Bug Crowd is a really popular one. What's another one, guys? Bug
HackerOne.
Crowd. You can sign up as a free user. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, and then sometimes if you're really good, you get invited to do these private vulnerability assessments, which are companies go to Bug Crowd and they're like, just give me the best of the best, and you get sourced into like the group that like the higher tier, and then you get better paying work kind of thing. So you can always build up your resume. But for people who aren't really into pen testing and they're really more into like GRC, for example, those are going to be a little harder in terms of freelance work. But however, you could still be doing your own critical thinking exercises and putting your thoughts out there in the general public to actually consume. So the thing I mentioned before, YouTube, medium.com, blog articles, LinkedIn, anywhere where you can share your thoughts on things that are happening within the industry is always going to be good for you. Unless you are literally throwing like fire into a garbage can. Like you want to be professional, obviously. Apparently I'm not doing that right now, but you still want to like put your thoughts out there, make it known that you are a good critical thinker, you're professional, and people start to notice that. And they'll be like, hey, I think I'll hire that person. I'll hire Yusuf or I'll hire Bill.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because outside of just, like I said, I'd kind of maybe heard about people doing pen testing stuff like freelance, but I never really beyond that thought of cybersecurity being a job where you could be a freelancer or being in the cybersecurity industry, I guess, and being able to freelance.
Oh, it's very popular.
But that, what is it? Oh, it's very popular.
Yeah, it's very popular.
Well, excuse me, pardon.
Yeah, that's how we
I didn't
exploit
know.
all our workers.
That's right.
But this, especially with like, ever since a couple years ago, people have been working online, working from home and stuff. And it does seem like gig work or freelance work has become so much more popular now. And even as something that maybe you do in addition to like a different job, right?
So yes, yeah. Also, you can make a ton of money, right? So when you're freelancing out, you set your rates. You're not working for
Yeah.
someone who is paying you out of the pool in which they're getting it from, or it's a salaried job. Oh, and don't get me wrong; those salary jobs can be very well paying as well. But most of the time, if you're very money motivated, that freelance is going to be the way to go, and you're going to be able to set your own hours. You're going to set your own pace. There's a lot of freedom to working as a freelancer.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like it. Well, we do have, I know we kind of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think Naomi wanted to say something.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm on a delay. So, quick tip for people who are interested in those more corporate jobs. A lot of corporations are going to have public GitHub pages with their open source projects. You can actually go to those and really start submitting pull requests for things that might have a security vulnerability in it and submit like the fixed code. Just be like, hey, I found this issue. Here's the fix for it. Here's the exploit for it. And that's another way of doing kind of a bug bounty. But it also gets you on the radar of those corporations to be like, hey, Hacker XYZ, they submitted a pull request for something that's one of our open source projects, and it's a really good fix for something. They found a CVE, for example, and they found a fix for it. Why don't we hire this person? Right? Like they actually have that kind of talent in-house too, where they hire people to do full-time work to just fix vulnerabilities in their software that they release to the public. Yes, they do hire these people. And there's those bigger corporations. Think Microsoft, Oracle, all those big guys. They have these teams. So anyway, question.
Okay.
Anyway.
No, it's good. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't want to cut you off. I wanted to make sure we were able to get to everything because I know, you guys.
Oh, I can keep going. That's the problem.
Yeah,
You need
she's
to,
like,
you go-
how much time you got,
We
buddy?
we got to set a time, like a debate or something. I got to have a
Yeah,
timer
be like,
down
yeah,
there.
ding, ding, ding. Naomi,
Yeah.
shut
Your
up.
time has expired.
That's good. It's a wealth of knowledge that we have here in this room. So I'm glad that we're able to pull from you guys and learn more from you guys. You guys are a wealth of knowledge. So, but I'll shut up now. We do have like I said, we'll go back to YouTube. I know I've been pulling a lot of questions from Zoom. We had a question come in from YouTube a little bit ago that says, if you don't have a lot of experience or the 50 million certs, is it necessary to spend money attending boot camps? So specifically boot camps. I know we talked a little bit at the beginning about like everybody's path is different and everything, but I am curious about that because I see boot camps advertised and I wonder if this is something where like, if you have no experience and you're trying to learn all this stuff really, really quick, is a boot camp the best choice for you? Or are those more for people that already maybe have some experience, but they just need something quick to kind of get them through the finish line to maybe take whatever exam they're looking to take or something like that? What is the purpose of those boot camps? Who's the target audience for those?
So it depends,
Oh, okay.
right? These boot camps, they have not the best reputation. Well, I say that there are boot camps out there that will tell you, if you buy our, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 boot camp, you will land a six-figure job within 6 months and blah, blah, blah. No one can promise you these things. So do not believe the marketing hype. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Sands, right? There are great boot camps out there. There are phenomenal instructors out there that are putting on amazing boot camps that can give you really good skills, that can kind of ramp you up on a certain X, Y, or Z technology or concept or whatever very quickly. But don't think that because I took a boot camp, I'm gonna go get a job. Can it happen? Absolutely. Asteroids can fall from the sky and it can rain frogs. Both of those things have happened. That doesn't mean it's going to happen all the time, right? So just keep that in mind. Don't get like starstruck by the glitz and the glamour of the marketing campaign. Just think, I need to learn this skill. Does this bootcamp have a good review? Do people like it? What was their experience with it? Afterwards, how did that go? Were they able to like utilize the skills that they learned in a real world scenario where they were able to obtain work and like do that job well because of that bootcamp? That's the kind of stuff you want to know, right? What was that class like? If they had good experiences, then maybe it is worth the money that you have. Now, if you don't have the money, boot camps are not absolutely necessary. You can learn, go to YouTube University, right? Watch a bunch of YouTube videos, read a bunch of blogs. There's a bunch of stuff out there, resources that are absolutely stinking free or of very little money. It doesn't cost you a lot. They're high value things, giving you great information for very low price. Find those things out in the world, and that is probably going to be your best bet as far as like how your money is spent or how you spend a lot of your time if you don't have a lot of money. Naomi, what say you?
No, I have such mixed feelings about this one because in one side of me, I want to tell them like this is what you're saying, Daniel. It's like it's very hard to just get a boot camp and then get a job. Is it possible? Yes, but is it normal? No. Like, but then on the other side of me, where my nonprofit really works on this, it's like, well, why isn't it that easy? Why can't people with just a boot camp come in? Right? Like for me, the ideal version would be 3.5 million unfilled jobs across the world in cybersecurity. Why can't we hire from just boot camps? Right? Why can't we just hire people with zero experience? Why can't we? And it turns out of the, every Sunday I actually try to post a new entry level job with 0 years of experience requirement on LinkedIn. And sometimes it takes me up to 2 hours every time just to find one of those jobs. It is so freaking exhausting. I wish it was easier to find these things. And that's the whole point. It's like, why aren't these jobs a lot easier to get into? We need more people. Why are we trying to outpoach each other and get people who are already mid-senior and above into the jobs that we have? Like, let's train the people that we have, right? And that's why my nonprofit exists. But I also want to be real and say the people who are doing the boot camps and the certifications have an uphill battle because yes, we have those human biases and we have those things that we're just like, oh, we're gatekeepers. We're never going to allow you with just that boot camp to come in. Okay. That will happen to you. Don't let it stop you. Keep going, build up that resume, do home labs, write articles about it, talk to people, network, do all that stuff that you still need to be doing anyway, and really try to put yourself out there. Don't give up. We definitely need you, especially people who are really, really, really good critical thinkers. We need people with that diversity of thought.
What's interesting is, in a lot of ways, I absolutely agree with you. Like there are great people out there. They're just getting started. There should be these entry level, like real entry level. Like you have no experience. You have some understanding about X, Y, and Z technologies in cybersecurity, and that fits what we're looking for. Therefore, let's bring you on board. Why not? I would say that a lot of times, and you tell me if I'm wrong on this, or your experience with it is a better way to put it. What's your experience with this is when you got two resumes sitting in front of you and one has only a boot camp, nothing else. And then there's boot camp, cert, GitHub, blog, internship, bling, 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 bling. You got all these things and everything else is equal. It's going to weigh that resume much heavier than one with only a boot camp in it. Now, that said, I think the solution to that problem that I think Naomi is looking for is human networking, right? Getting in front of people. The more we get together, I mean, we had Wayne. It was like, oh, I was at a thing. We did a thing. You gave me some information. I used it there. I go to these conferences. We're going to Wild West Hacking Fest soon. Every conference I go to, you see people there, and we get to meet and greet. We get FaceTime. We start, making new friends and contacts, and you get to find out these really cool people, and you're like, oh, you're trying to get started. Well, my buddy's looking for somebody. And that is a phenomenal resource where it's weird. We have this thing called the internet, and it's you would think it would be better at bringing us together and letting us have that kind of interaction with each other. But in a lot of ways, it's not, especially on things like social media, right? It just ends up being a weird, skewed, rosy sunglass view of what you want the world to see and what they want you to see from them, instead of just 2 people sitting in a room or 5 people sitting in a room or 100 people sitting in a conference room talking about stuff and things they're passionate about and going, wow, Sophia, she's super passionate about cybersecurity. She's really kind of put herself out there. Yeah, she's only got that one boot camp she's done, but you can tell she does things in her spare time and she really wants to know this stuff. Plus, she was super cool. I'm going to hire her. I'm just going to hire her. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to hire her. I know I got resumes with better creds on it, but I liked her. The only way to get that across is by interaction. I think that should be, we need to do that more.
Yeah, I think there's only so much that you can convey online or typing or even in like a Zoom meeting. It's so valuable to be able to talk to people in person. By the way, he was talking about the character, Sophie. That's not me.
Yeah.
I'm not very enjoyable to be around. So he was not talking about me.
Quite the curmudgeon.
That's a good word for it. Yeah, I look very curmudgeanly. You can tell.
Yes.
But you're right. There's only so much that you can do online or through a resume. There's only so much you can get across.
Right.
A lot of it is just that FaceTime can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
That's part of why I got hired here. It was coming in and being able to talk and interact with people and them thinking like, okay, we think she'd be a good fit. But on a resume, I don't know that would have come across.
That's why I don't like texts or emails even, because you only get so much information across. It's better to have a phone call.
Yeah.
Right? Or better a face-to-face, right? Where I can see your facial expression. We can interact like what we're, kind of like with Naomi doing now, what we're doing here. If we had your faces in here, that'd be great too. But, we can only do so much with technology. So we do what we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's an idea for anyone who's listening who doesn't really love networking and just doing the FaceTime for the sake of FaceTime. You can actually get work experience and FaceTime at the same time, and here's how. You can volunteer for security conferences. They're always looking for people to help set up booths and help with registration, introduce the speakers, help mingle, right? Like these are the things that security conferences need help with, and they just get volunteers to do. So you sign up for your favorite security conference, OWASP, LastCon, whatever it is. And you're like, hey, I want to volunteer. I'm in the area. I'd love to volunteer. What can I do? And then you're going to be joining a committee and doing all these things. And you're going to be there during the security conference, and you're going to show people how hard you work and your critical thinking skills. And then little by little, you're going to start networking with people too, because I'm guaranteeing you the people who organize these security conferences are very well connected within the industry. Yes, they are. They are very, very well connected. So if you're connected to the people who have those good connections, you're only 1 step or 2 steps away from talking to somebody who might land you a job or who introduce you to somebody who is. Right. So now you are doing both things. You are networking and you're showing your competencies, that you can do things well. You can execute on things. You can bring your own kind of approach to things. You can problem solve. Those are the things that hiring managers are looking for. So you can volunteer for security conferences. Another thing, you can actually do something called a working group in cybersecurity. I know somebody who got a job in cybersecurity because they no experience. They contributed to a white paper that was only on like cloud infrastructure or whatever. And all they had to do was research things and put together 2 or 3 paragraphs in this white paper. And they were able to put this on their resume because, hey, I contributed to this. I forgot what kind. I think it was like a government white paper for something. And they were part of the working group. And their name is on the freaking front page of a working group white paper for a CISA, like a NIST or a CISA. I forget who they were working for. But it's impressive. Not a lot of people will have that. I certainly don't. I'm not part of any working groups. But if I were to do this now and I were trying to get into cybersecurity now, yeah, I would do that for sure. I would volunteer the heck out of my time and put myself out there and really showcase what I can do for people and execute on things that they need help with.
That's a great tip.
I think that's a great idea. If there's
I feel like that was a better answer than the ones. Yeah, that was a better answer than the ones where I'm insulting people. Thank you guys.
Takes time. We're just
she's warming up
as we go.
We're only
Yeah,
50 minutes into it. Yeah,
Cool. If this was a 2-hour webinar, we'd just be getting started. Unfortunately, we're getting close, I think, to our time, but we do have time for a little bit more. So we have another question here coming from Lori. Lori asks, "What are your favorite online resources to study from or to keep up with on cybersecurity news and trends?" Am I allowed to do a Technado plug here? Can I do that? I would say, just as a recommendation, not because I'm a host on it or anything, there's this great podcast you can check out called Technado. You can go to technado.com or YouTube, and you can watch those episodes there. And we cover what's going on in cybersecurity news. Myself and Daniel and Don Pizzette will talk about that stuff every week. And some of the sources that I've seen that we've kind of been able to pull from there is like the Hacker News. I don't know. You might know off the top of your head a couple of others. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's Security Boulevard, Security Week. There's a ton of them out there. Honestly, I tend to end up using LinkedIn quite a bit. My LinkedIn feed is a bit curated toward, the algorithm thinks Daniel likes cybersecurity stuff. I'll just make sure that he sees nothing but that. So you can train different algorithms on different social media platforms that you are utilizing to kind of just feed you that information. You start subscribing or following or doing whatever you need to do to make sure that those people that are doing that actively are first in line, and you'll just train your socials to kind of do it for you. And then of course you can go to those different sites out there, Bleeping Computer, Tom's Hardware, Ars Technica. There are tons of them out there that are reporting on IT and security news as well. So just after a while, you start going, okay, I've seen this article 4 times in 5 different places. So
yeah, it gets to the point where you're like, I feel like I've seen this before. It's like deja vu. Naomi, do you have any like favorite sources that you like to pull from?
I do, but I want to be careful with those security websites that have those news because they're usually 2 or 3 days behind like everyone else. I really feel like the source of that information really can be found on InfoSec Twitter and Mastodon and places that you might not realize. GitHub is a great publishing platform for vulnerabilities. You kind of just have to know where to look. Now, here's one really good resource that is free and is probably faster than most other news sources. So SANS, S-A-N-S, SANS.org has a wonderful News Bites newsletter. It comes out at least once a week, sometimes more than once a week, with the top security headlines of the day. And not only that, they actually have experts weighing in with their opinions within the newsletter itself. So say you had like a breach or whatever, and then the root cause of the breach. Now you have experts, SANS experts, by the way, not just like regular experts, SANS experts, and they're on the newsletter themselves with their like flair about it, their opinion, like here's what happened, here's why you should worry about it, and here's why it's bad, or this is overblown, this is not a problem, this is not a risk, right? And here's the reason why. So now you can like talk about this stuff intelligently when you are asked in a security interview, for an interview, what is your most favorite breach and why is it your favorite breach? I've had that so many times as a candidate, it's not even funny. So you should always have that in the back of your mind and be like, what recent breaches have been out there, and what's interesting about it, kind of thing. Like they will ask you those questions, definitely.
Interesting. I forgot about SANS, but that's a good resource.
SANS is one of the
I forgot.
Best. Shout out SANS.
Never heard of them
because I already
What's the last name?
No. SANS. Now SANS is great. I mean, yeah, they're a little not overpriced. Did I just say that? They're pricey for good reason. They really market towards the government agencies, and that's why we've got the high prices there. But in a lot of cases, they've got great scholarship programs. They've got really, really great things where you can actually go and for a reduced price participate in the class and take the certification. So,
okay. I feel like that's kind of a good way to end it for, continuing education. We're going to be wrapping up here in a second, but if you want to keep learning and keep up with what's going on in tech news today, cybersecurity news, some resources that you can maybe pull from, or podcasts that you can listen to and enjoy because it's funny and entertaining, and we do it all with a smile on our faces. What say you?
Oh,
agree?
Yeah.
He agrees. He's on the podcast, so I hope he agrees. That was a softball. I was hoping
you two are very nice to listen to. Your dulcet tones.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the sound of your voice.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the tenor of the alto. What am I? I guess I'm an alto. I think. I don't know. I'm not a theater person. I don't know.
What am I?
I don't know.
I'm weird.
You're not. You're kind of musical.
I'm none of it.
You're a musical guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not musicals, but like guitar.
I like musicals.
You probably.
Yeah.
You probably know more about that stuff than I do.
Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Oh, sure.
I'm all about that.
Classic.
Cool.
You can't beat it. But yeah, if you're looking to get more into this stuff and learn more about it, those are some great resources to pull from. Or you can keep watching these webinars too. We actually have another one coming up next week. I'm going to be talking with Jerry Ozier. You might have heard of him. You're kind of buddies with Jerry.
Oh yeah, me and Jerry go way back.
You go way back. You're besties.
Yeah.
Simply Cyber, right?
Yep.
So we're going to be talking next week about cybersecurity analysts, the front line of the future. So you can tune in for that. But also, if you're looking to get an IT Pro membership, you can use the code Daniel30. It is not Daniel30 because he's 30. Somebody asked that in the chat. He's actually 19. You'd never believe it.
I went prematurely gray and bald.
Yeah, it's the stress of the job that gets to him. So use that code Daniel30 if you want to get a discount on your membership. We want to thank Naomi for joining us today. Thank you, Daniel, for sitting down with us for this discussion. And thank you for joining us. Yeah, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
And thank you for joining us and for sending in your questions. We'll see you next time.